Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Alliance Press Conference. We are live from 3 different locations today. Here in Boulogne-Billancourt, Paris, France, with Mr. Senard, Chairman of the Alliance and Renault, Mrs. Delbos, CEO of Renault, and Mr. Zablit, Alliance General Secretary. But also in Yokohama with Nissan, Uchida-san, CEO, and Gupta-san, Chief Operating Officer. And from Tokyo with Mitsubishi, Masuko-san, Chairman, and Kato-san, CEO. This press conference will be in English with simultaneous translations into Japanese and French. We'll start with a short presentation by Mr. Senard, followed by a Q&A session. You'll have the opportunity to ask your question live. I'll share more details with you later. Mr. Senard, the floor is yours.
Good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us today across the world. At the end of January, the Alliance Operating Board, gathered in Japan, outlined a new framework to further reinforce its business model. Since then, the global context has changed radically. But our common ambition for the Alliance has not. For several weeks now, our 3 companies have been working hard to tackle the unprecedented health and economic crisis we are going through. Throughout the COVID-19 crisis, we have maintained strong links and continued discussions on our future model. Today, Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi have relaunched their production and sales activities in strict respect of the health regulations. Now is the time to rebuild. For our 3 companies, the Alliance is the keystone to our resilience and to our competitiveness. The Alliance's previous business model was based on strong growth in all our markets, and therefore very high sales volumes. But we all know it. The mobility landscape is changing fast as competition in the automotive market increases. Today, we adjust our model accordingly. The Alliance new model focuses on efficiency and competitiveness rather than on volumes. We based our strategy on assets that already exist within the Alliance. Now, we are taking these assets one step further. Today, I am very happy to present our new framework. It will enable each of the Alliance members to develop its core capabilities and complement them with other member capabilities. Our aim is to increase the competitiveness and profitability of each of the 3 companies. This new scheme is expected to contribute on top of the existing benefits, such as the joint purchases made by the Alliance Purchasing Organization. The new collaboration model will build on existing activities and go further along 3 strategic dimensions: leader-follower for vehicle, leader-follower for technology, and reference region. First, a leader-follower vehicle strategy. What does it mean? In 2019, common platforms represented 39% of all the vehicles produced by the Alliance. With the launch of the company's new models using the common platforms, we will double this number by 2024. However, this is not enough. The platform itself, as we know, requires only 1/3 of the model investment. If we want to see a real impact on competitiveness, we need to push our standardization further, from platform to upper bodies, therefore covering 2/3 of the model investments. The additional potential savings are tremendous. To secure discipline in each segment, we'll have one mother vehicle, call it the leader car, and one sister vehicle, the follower car, allowing each member to develop a complete range for each of its customers. It will be engineered by the leading company with the support of the followers team. All leaders and followers vehicles for all brands will be produced in the most competitive setup, including grouping all the production if relevant. Compared to our current performance, this scheme will reduce by 40% our model investment. This is around 2 billion euro savings on the future renewal of our C SUV models. This leader-follower scheme has already demonstrated its efficiency in the LCV segment that we are continuing to expand with good competitiveness. We are very confident in the application of this strategy to passenger cars. Our team leaders, who are with us today, will be happy to provide more details at the end of this presentation. Second, the leader-follower scheme will be applied to technologies. We will continue building on our foundation, sharing of the investments for platforms, powertrains, and technologies. As an example, brand new Renault Clio and Nissan Juke were launched in 2019 on our common CMF-B platform. Also, each member company will access to the broad range of capabilities, demonstrating the technological leadership, such as the electric vehicle technology. Alliance members have been the pioneers of mass production EV, with soon 1 million full EV cars on the road. And we are continuing to invest to enhance our performance and expansion. Brand new EV dedicated platform will be launched in near future, with Nissan paving the way with Ariya. Another example is our autonomous driving technology, which has been introduced to more than 600,000 units in the world. It is time to go beyond. Our leader-follower scheme already applies to some platforms, and powertrains have demonstrated its benefit. We have agreed to expand this scheme to all new technologies. Autonomous driving led by Nissan. Connectivity, Android platform led by Renault and China platform by Nissan. Electric and electronic architecture led by Renault. E-powertrain will be led by Nissan for CMF EV platforms and by Renault for the CMF AB platform. Finally, Mitsubishi will lead PHEV for the CD segment. Each technology is to be developed by one leading team with the support of the followers team. This organization is crucial for our future. We will have more focus and accountability on the outcome. I expect the company that develops a key technology to strive to become competitive at industry level. Each member of the alliance will have access to all of the key technologies. This will improve our efficiency on technology activities by 20%, by suppressing duplication among the companies. Our combined leader-follower approach on vehicle and technology will put our spending at a maximum of 8% versus more than 10% in 2019. Last, the companies will use their reference business position in geographical areas to support the other members. In the reference regions, we will deploy our leader-follower approach on the company's product portfolio and the industrial footprint, aiming at the benefits depicted previously. We expect to grasp new opportunities under the procured service approach, addressing the fixed cost efficiency also on the commercial side. These procured services will allow all members to share resources for all common business processes, such as the after-sales back office, distribution, and logistics. Let's move now to the complementary strengths of the alliance members. For 21 years now, the alliance regional and brands complementarity has allowed us to secure international footprint. Today, we maximize this geographic complementarity to cover the main automotive markets worldwide. Nissan main area of leadership, Japan, China, North America. Renault, Europe, Russia, Latin America, and North Africa. Mitsubishi, Southeast Asia and Oceania. Let's take a few minutes to show some application across the different regions. In Brazil, we currently have 4 different platforms, 2 Renault and 2 Nissan, used for 6 models. Under the new scheme, we will have only 1 common platform for Renault and Nissan, the CMF-B hatchback and SUV, used for 7 different models. By grouping production, our target is to produce more than 300,000 vehicles per year on this unique platform. This will guarantee high competitivity. The leader-follower scheme is a competitive choice for Europe and Russia. It is the result of thoughtful exchanges. We dedicated a lot of time to review all the products and to come up with the following choices. Renault will be leading the B and B SUV segment for all future development and renewals. Both Renault and Nissan will keep digging to apply this to an EV based on the CMF-B platform. Also, the renewal of Terrano and Duster in Russia will follow the leader-follower scheme. Nissan will be leading the C SUV renewal starting in 2025 at worldwide level, including for Europe. In Russia, we will adopt the leader-following approach for 2023 models. Renault will pursue the leader role for LCV. Now, let's take a closer look to the Asian market. In Japan, Nissan leads K platform and R&D. Production is done by Mitsubishi. In ASEAN, Mitsubishi and Nissan will collaborate to produce Xpander and Levina. For Australia and New Zealand, Renault will produce express vans for Mitsubishi. Overall, the efficiency of the alliance member companies will improve. We will be able to achieve the same coverage worldwide with 20% less models. At the same time, almost half of our models will be developed and produced under the leader-follower scheme, securing a significantly improved ratio of R&D and capex per car sold, as from 2022. Believe me, this will not limit our ability to achieve greater efficiency on standardization and purchasing efficiency. For instance, our new battery generation, thanks to an improved standardization, carry across an enhanced purchasing approach, will beat the $100 by kilowatt hour. This has been worked out across different leader-follower models. The leader-follower scheme is not about being leader against each other. It is about the alliance competing with the automotive industry. Each company is to become among the most competitive and efficient on its expertise, and each company will benefit from the global portfolio of segments, technologies, and the business coverage across the globe. I would sincerely like to thank all the alliance teams for the intensive work that led to this new cooperation model. It is a result of a highly collaborative process. An open diagnosis was carried out on the strengths and weaknesses of the previous model. Feedbacks were collected from all the teams around the world, helping to focus on the main topics to be addressed. We still have a lot of challenges ahead, but today we are fully prepared. Because we have the right framework, we have the right mindset, we have gathered all the tools, and we are all jointly committed more than ever to move forward. Now, we will be happy to answer all of your questions. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you. Uchida-san, would you like to say a few words before we reach this session? Masuko-san, if you want to follow. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Senao, for capturing the essence of the alliance very well. Good afternoon, everybody. This week will be very significant for Nissan and the members of the alliance. So this year, pivotal year of the Nissan as we accelerate action to rebuild. And it is very essential how we can make sure the alliance contribution can be reached for each company for their fixed cost saving, as well as the revenue growth, and more is our growth in the future. As stated by Mr. Senao, our main is to significantly enhance and accelerate the operational efficiency of the alliance. Under the new model and the new two schemes, which was being explained, reference region and the leader follower, the member companies will enjoy and benefit of close cooperation and accelerate the business efficiency for the respective companies. I would like to remind that, again, this is a consistency message that we are giving from the last January AOB. The alliance is the asset to drive the competitiveness for each company. And we at the Nissan would like to make sure for the next coming years, we would like to make priorities and focus on our operation. That means for Nissan, we will concentrate on our strengths and we will get the support and the leverage fully from the alliance. And that is the main message in behind here for us to further to pursue when it comes to the leader and follower, where it does define the geographical, our portfolio, and where that the model that the Nissan would focus, and further we get the leverage of the asset from the alliance. And of course, after that, how we can make sure to make our fixed cost to be lean with the further leverage from the alliance. So these are all the concepts and all the decision definitely that each company has to make, and we will leverage from the alliance. This is a spirit, I think it's been explained by Mr. Senao, and this is a time that we have to go through by knowing the current situation of COVID-19, which is really giving a very difficult time for everybody and each company. And therefore, this way of the working under the alliance is very essential for Nissan, and I strongly believe for our partner, which means Renault and Nissan. So I really appreciate this message, and I really would like to pursue as a Nissan, and in order to make ourselves to be further, really to prioritize our strengths and how we can further to make our core competence to grow using the alliance assets. So this is my message I would like to follow after what Mr. Senao has mentioned. And thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Uchida-san. Thank you very much. Masuko-san, would you like just to say a short word?
Thank you, Mr. Senard. I make a very short comment. Environment surrounding the automotive industry is changing, and the society is changing rapidly due to COVID-19. We have been working on to review how the alliance should be considering such situations. When the era changes and the environment changes, how the alliance should be will also change, of course. I understand that our review process has successfully been completed to come to today's announcement. It's common in the three companies, but if I may, I would like to talk about the case of Mitsubishi Motors as an example. Originally, we should be pursuing a growth strategy with visions. However, in the past few years, we focused too much on chasing after an expansion strategy, causing a massive increase in fixed cost and making us to face a severe situation as a result. In putting it back to the original growth strategy with vision, how we can utilize the power of the alliance will be a key for the future of Mitsubishi Motors. To efficiently function the alliance, the three companies agreed to introduce the leader-follower scheme. What is important is bringing about results, and it depends on how fast each company can penetrate this leader-follower scheme in the business going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Masuko-san, for these comments. Clotilde, maybe a word before we start the questions?
Yeah, just a very short word, because I think it's better to keep a lot of time for questions. Just one thing on that, in addition to what Ushida-san and Masuko-san have just said, I want to insist on is the change of spirit between the members of the alliance. We have spent a lot of time working in very good spirit to arrive to this result, on which we're very, very happy, because I think it's the path forward in order to sustain the performance of the different companies. There is now a real envy to go forward and apply this scheme that we just developed, and we'll explain again to you if you have any question. There's a real envy in the three companies to work together and to be stronger together. So that's the only word I wanted to add.
Well, thank you very much. So I think now the word is yours.
Thank you very much. We'll start the Q&A session. So you're welcome to ask your question live through our audio system. And say it in your mother tongue. We'll start with the first question from the Financial Times. Please.
We have a first question from Financial Newspaper. Sir, you go ahead. Sir, your microphone is open.
Okay, we may have a technical problem. Let's move to a second question from the Handelsblatt.
To integrate the demands of the French state regarding electrical cars into your alliance and the work share of the alliance. Because the president said yesterday that he wants Renault to integrate the French-German consortium for battery production and to buy these batteries, and also to build new electrical motors in France and not to buy them or produce them in China. How are you going to integrate this into the work share of the alliance? Thank you very much.
There is absolutely no contradiction between the future plans of Renault in electric vehicles and the plans of the alliance to enhance our common work. On that aspect, which we could discuss further on, notably on Friday when Renault will make its announcements on the plan. But on the previous situation, we can just say that we're going forward, our plans are there, we are going to clearly increase dramatically our production of EV vehicles in France, and the alliance will be obviously the major framework within which we're going to work. Maybe, Clotilde, you'd like to...
Yeah, there is indeed no contradiction. We have announced years ago that we will produce EV cars in France based on the common EV platform of the alliance. So there is no news here. This was planned, and we intend to do so for the Renault cars. Obviously, if we reach more competitiveness, it will be attractive for some of our partners. But to start with, we start with the Renault cars. On the battery front, we always have been looking, and I will hand over to Véronique Sarlat-Despotes, who's the head of purchasing for the alliance. We have always been looking for competitive offers, so we'll be looking into what this Franco-German or French-German initiatives is going to be given as competitiveness. So we're very much looking into that. Veronica will hand over to you. And on the small electric 100 kilowatt engine that we intend to produce in France, it's a very small also engine, and I will hand over to some of my colleagues here also to give some explanation. Véronique?
Yes, thank you very much, Clotilde. So as you mentioned, we have always been very open, especially in those changing times for technologies. We have always been open to a creative, competitive and positive solutions. So we will study that very positively for sure. And perhaps Gilles can elaborate a bit on the 100 kilowatt hour.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So in the frame of this alliance, of course, all the technologies regarding that will be conveyed to Renault will be developed in France mainly, and all the, especially in the e-motors technology, we will do the development in France for the A and B platform, so mainly the 100 kilowatt, and for sure it will be developed, engineered, and manufactured in France. That's for sure, and that's our commitment. Thank you.
So as you can see, everything which has been announced is extremely in line with the purpose and the new scheme of the alliance.
Thank you. Well, we have the question from the Financial Times finally. So, sir, please go ahead.
Sir, your microphone is open. You can ask your question.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
So, hello, Bogdan Aleko from the Financial Newspaper. I have a question regarding Dacia. How will the leader-follower strategy affect the brand, the Romanian brand? Will the Logan platform completely disappear and be replaced by Renault platforms? And my second question, you said that the B-segment SUV in Europe will be developed by Renault. Will the 4x4 Duster disappear from the range because the 4x4 system in the Duster is of Nissan origin? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the question. Ali will take over.
Yes, as it concerns the Dacia lineup, as you know, Dacia and Renault brand have been already sharing these platforms in the past, and this will be reinforced in the future. And what we are addressing today is the expansion of this kind of sharing more widely to other partners inside Alliance. So nothing will change on the Dacia side because it's already based on the mother-sister approach. And as it concerns Duster, as you know, this is based on CMFB. CMFB will be continuously improved and invested in several regions. And what we are talking about here to Alliance is the use of that base for sister cars used by Nissan. This was the case of what has been presented by President Senard in Russia.
Thank you, Ali. Would Uchida-san want to, or Gupta-san want to comment on this aspect?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sanal. Of course, I just would like to stay with the concept. There's many questions about the model. Of course, this is under the discussion in the alliance, but what we can say is, I would emphasize again, the brand model as a strategy first to be defined, and this was discussed, and we would like to focus where the model that we would like to get the leverage from the alliance is the main point. Then we will go into the individual detail model, what does it make the benefit for each company. So this is how we are building, and this is how we are discussing in all the context when it comes to the model lead and forward. So this is what I can say as a big picture. If Ashwani would like to add someone comment to that.
Yeah, well, thank you for this question, and in line with what Uchida-san mentioned, I think we have three things which we have to be careful in the car. The one is the efficiency, which is beneficial to the customer, but it is not seen by the customer. The second is how we create this benefit, and the third is how we sell this benefit. And I think your question is more about brand, which is the Dacia brand. However, when we go behind the brand and when we talk about the operational efficiency, we have to go to the powertrain, which is common. We have to go to the platform, which is common. And you talked about the outgoing platform of Logan. But please do understand that this platform is succeeded by a most efficient competitive alliance platform, which is CMF-A and CMF-A+, which Renault and Nissan both are using worldwide. To answer your question, in Alliance, we have a brand strategy which is very distinctive for all the three companies. Like for Nissan, we have Infiniti, we have Nissan. So we keep our brand very distinctive. However, how we make this branded cars more and more competitive, we go behind the steering wheel and we try to commonize most of the things. We talked about platform. Then now, as Mr. Senard explained, in the leader-follower, we will graduate from the platform to the upper bodies. And we did see in the leader-follower program that even if the cars which are on the CMF-B platform, which is Alliance platform and which is also the new platform, we will go further as leader-follower on the upper bodies. And then finally, the brand will derive what kind of brand differentiation we need based on the brand promises of each brand represented by the company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another question from the Wall Street Journal. Please, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Sean McLean from the Wall Street Journal. I got a question for Mr. Senard or anybody else, and then one specifically for Nissan as well. We've heard a lot of talk about things happening in 2023, 24, 25. What's going to happen right now, or is nothing substantive going to happen right now, or all the cost savings that you're talking about all down the line? And then for Nissan, Mr. Uchida, why is Nissan not doing anything with leader-follower vehicles until 2025? It seems far away. I mean, are all these commitments set in stone, or are they still under negotiation?
Okay, thank you for the question. We will give you the right answer. Now, on the first part of your question, it is essential to understand that in our industry, we're always talking about medium term. Our processes are long, our investment long-term, and you don't change the situation in just a few months. What is important is that all the decisions that we have been doing now and taking now will have an impact quite early in 2022 already in the investments of our companies given the scheme that we have provided to you for the coming years. You understand that all this comes upstream, and the major savings because of investments in R&D and engineering and all that comes before. So the impact, the major impact of our decisions is going to be felt quite early in the process. I think that is an absolutely essential point to keep in mind. Maybe the team would like to answer. Uchida-san, you may answer, Clotilde, whoever. Uchida, would you like to start? Clotilde afterwards.
Thank you. I think there's a question about, thank you, question from the Sean about the Nissan. So I fully align with what Mr. Senao said that let's be reminded the alliance on the existing synergy. There's already foundation when we talk about the purchasing activity, logistic activity, the synergy huge. And what we did is we look back on the alliance activity, what is good activity where we can further to continue to enhance, where the area that we are going to look to reinforce. And this was one of the ways to further to discuss about the leader and follower concept, as well as a reference where that each company can support one to the other. So this is the main discussion we are doing. So therefore, when it comes to the cost or fixed cost saving, there's already ongoing items are embedded, and we will further to do so. And when you come to the question about the future model, why not the Nissan in earlier? Definitely what we have talking today, for instance, with Square CSUV, this is what we are talking about, the Nissan strengths that we would further like to contribute for the alliance. And again, let's not forget, if you look at our model, you started to feel, again, one is leading, the other is not leading. But if you go inside the model, there are common platform already built under the alliance. There are already the common parts under the alliance. So there's a lot of the good asset already we have built. And how further we can go was the discussion, and how far we can contribute was the point that we are trying to introduce today. And of course, in tomorrow, we will speak about the Nissan next few years, how we're going to focus ourselves, and we will further to explain about what does the alliance mean when it comes to the Nissans for the future.
Yeah, and if I may add to what Uchida-san just said, on the technology sharing leader-follower, that will allow us to avoid duplication that we may have today. So that should be savings that we could achieve before the 22-25 that you saw on that slide. And same thing on the regions. If we're able to increase, as we are mentioning, the number of procured services in after sales, in back office, in many things, this can also be achieved in the coming years. We don't have to wait for the cars to be on the street. It can be done rather rapidly.
Maybe to conclude on that question, it is very important to keep in mind that the direction is now so strong that there can be no doubt about what the future will be, which is absolutely essential when we start thinking about savings, common savings, and what we used to call synergies. In a word, the mindset is such today that the convergence of our free processes, free companies, our free teams is such that there is absolutely no doubt about how it will work in the future. No backward step, that's absolutely for sure. And if there had been some few doubts in the markets these days, well, this is over today. And this is the message we want to send today.
Well, we're going through the...
If I may, Sean, I understand your main question was why Nissan is not in the leader, follower. Let me give you the context over it. At first, to answer to your question, as it was presented before, CSUV, which is 2 million around the world, will be led by Nissan, which is significant representation of not only Europe region, but all over the world. So this is the first example I wanted to share with you. The second example I wanted to share with you that today Nissan is having the respectable market share in US, China, and Japan, where of course we will lead all the products. Now the question comes where we get the maximum synergies because of the strength of our partners. Number one, Europe, thanks to Renault. Number two, Latin America, thanks to Renault. And number three, ASEAN, thanks to Mitsubishi. And this is where we would like to focus on the regions where we can have the maximum complementary strength of the partners. The second example, in Japan, the K car is Nissan is the leader, and Nissan is leading the K car development and future development of the K car. Then the third example in ASEAN with Mitsubishi, as we know that Nissan and Mitsubishi, we both are the leaders in the pickup, and the frame vehicle is jointly now studied between Mitsubishi and Renault. So Mitsubishi and Nissan. So I think what we have to see is, number one, what is the product access? Number two, what is the technology access? Number three, what is the manufacturing access? And number four, what is the market access? And based on the best combination of all these four accesses, which is represented by leader follower and by reference, we need to find the best merit for the three partner companies to improve the competitiveness of the existing business and without duplication of any kind of activity. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the next question. We've got a lot of questions. Next question is from Les Echos. Please, sir, go ahead.
Les Echos. En fait, j'avais deux questions.
Yes, I have two questions. I'd like to know how this strategy of leader-follower going to be translated concretely in Europe, and will there be partner vehicles that will be produced in the plants of the other partner? And then the second question concerns batteries. How are you going to reconcile this strategy with the announcements that President Macron has made about Renault entering the battery plants? And so are all the batteries of the alliance going to come from the factories that will be made in Europe?
Okay, thank you for the question. I guess Clotilde will take the first step.
Yeah, on Europe, it's really too early to talk about industrial strategy. The logic, as Ashwani just said, is first we start with the platform, which is common already. Then the upper body, which is what we're looking now with the leader-follower in order to have lower differentiation, in order to increase from what the customer doesn't see, as Ashwani said, increase the efficiency of what is behind the wheel. The industrial logic is far behind. It will come afterwards when we have defined all the cars and started to advance in the planning, and then we will decide in which plant what car needs to be made. But as Ashwani mentioned, in some cars, especially if you look at the CSUV, the volume we're talking about means that there might probably be several plants, right? So this is really too early to talk about that. It will come a long term down the road. On your second question, I think we already answered. So I'm not sure we're going to come back to that one.
Thank you. Next question is coming from Japan, please. Please go ahead.
Le quotidien japonais, votre micro est ouvert.
Oui. Alors, bonjour, je m'appelle Sawaki Hikita, correspondant pour un quotidien japonais qui s'appelle Asahi Shimbun. Oui.
Sorry, I'm from a Japanese daily newspaper. I have two questions. My first question concerns the European program for electric batteries. I have a question for all three of the companies, Mr. Senard, Ushida-san, and Matsuko-san. Has France not used the same electric technology developed by Nissan and Mitsubishi? And also, the French state has set out conditions for the backing of this €5 billion loan, that you have to ensure the conditions of the salaries, the employees, and of the plants that Renault is planning to close. So the intervention of the French state, is that not going to risk the profitability of Renault and therefore of the alliance? Thank you.
On this point, I have to make a very clear statement. We will have a strong discussion on these aspects on Friday when we will mention the complete details of Renault plans. It's not the time to do so. But only my major comment, there is absolutely no problem at all in terms of the relationship with the French state, which supports perfectly the move of Renault today. So not only the French state supports our plan, but also supports the alliance, and will do everything it can to make sure that we have the right environment for the improvement of the alliance spirit. So that's absolutely clear in our mind, so there's no real subject, really.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we'll take a written question right now. Coming from Andreas Forst-Blick in Switzerland. What does the leader-follower means for Mitsubishi Motors in Europe?
Okay, related to the Europe, we Mitsubishi are still studying the future direction. Then for the moment, it is not very clear for us. We still need more time to fix our future direction in Europe. Then after we decide our direction, I'd like to present. So today, allow me to avoid to answer to the question.
Thank you. We've got a question from Bloomberg now. Please, sir, go ahead.
Oui, bonjour tout le monde. Hello, this is Tara Patel from Bloomberg. I had two simple questions. One is that I just want to ask Mr. Senard, the old model of the alliance was very focused on cost-cutting, efficiency, synergies, which seems to me to be the message of the new model of the alliance. What makes you so confident that it is going to work going forward when it didn't in the past? Second question I have is, your example in Brazil was quite interesting. The alliance going from 4 platforms for 6 models, 1 platform for 7 models. Globally, how much capacity, for instance, too many platforms does the alliance now have, and what is the scope for Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I will have as General Secretary answer the first question, and then we will get to the second point. Adi?
Thank you. So the previous strategy was focused on growth and volume, and if I may say, as much as possible, differentiation among the brands. So we had common assets, but we were focusing on as much as possible differentiation and investing in models to achieve growth. What we have done so far is to refocus on competitiveness and profitability, meaning maximizing the utilization of the assets in the best way to serve the brands. So we do the following levers. First is the scope on which we apply the cost reduction. So we go from platform systems, powertrains to the full car, the upper body. And we have done the work on the different models presented to say what's the right limit between differentiation and commonalization. So today we have a much higher scope of sharing between the brands. Second one is the leader-follower among the companies. We have clarity on who is leading and who is accountable for the outcome. And this will drive much more efficiency, given the fact that the scope is much clearer now. So clear, bigger scope of application for the cost reduction and clarity on who is leading the topics with the involvement of the followers. This will yield much higher benefit. And the example is the one that Mr. Senai mentioned with the CSUV in the future. It's around 2 billion of savings compared to today, the way we work today. That gives you an indication of the amount of saving that we will be doing on model investment. Thank you.
I think the key words were clarity and simplification. I think that if we stick to that, the power of the alliance is tremendous in the coming months and years. And I think Eddie summarized it quite well. Maybe on the second question, Ali, you'd like to answer.
Yes, just to answer your question about the platforms. Today, on the common markets inside the Alliance, we have about 7 to 8 platforms, including the legacy platforms. What is the plan is very shortly to go to 4 platforms, 2 of them led by Renault, A and B, and 2 of them led by Nissan, CD, and EV. So this is already engaged, and now with the strategy of using common upper bodies, we are going fully fledged to take the benefit of these platforms and to have much more commonality on the whole car.
Thank you.
Thank you, if I may. Mr. Yamaguchi, who is Alliance Engineering Vice President for the Alliance Engineering, maybe he will give some more perspective about the future platforms.
Okay, so as Ali commented, and if we count the legacy platform, we may have the kind of multiple platform of each segment. But as for the future, it's quite sure that A segment product will be covered by CMF-A, and the B segment will be covered by CMF-B, and the CMF-CD segment will be covered CMF-CD, and finally, EV will be covered CMF-EV. So mainly, these 4 platforms should be the major platform for the Alliance.
Thank you, Yamaguchi-san.
Thank you. We're taking another written question from Hans Gremel, Asia Editor, Automotive News. Does the Alliance still feel open to expanding through new partnership? Are there plans to deepen or expand project with Daimler, or possibly wind down that tie-up?
Okay, I will take that point very clearly. We are in an open world, but we have some priorities, and the priority is to strengthen the alliance, and I think that we have given proof today that all our new mindset and decisions are going to lead to the strengthening of the alliance. That's the top priority. Of course, within the alliance, each company has its priorities in terms of strengthening its own business. But then we said, and I often said, by the way, that we could be open to the world. The point is that we need to be attractive. And this is what we're doing today. I bet very well that in a few years' time, given what we're doing now, this alliance is going to be the most powerful combination of companies in the world. It will be the best because it will be among the best performers. That's why we're here. Then the attraction of other partners can come anytime. Now, to the Daimler point, I'd like to say that we have very good news in terms of the atmosphere of this alliance. It is strong, and it's getting stronger. And I deeply hope that we will be able to give some news about this alliance in the coming weeks. A bit early, but in the coming weeks. And it's a very, very positive move. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to take a live question from Mainichi newspaper. Please go ahead. Okay, so let's take now written questions. We've got one from the Financial Times, David.
So we have a question from the Financial Times, David Kewen.
Sorry, so I've got a written question from David Kewen from the Financial Times. Does a 40% reduction in investment indicate a corresponding cut in job numbers at engineering.
So is this reduction of 40%, does that represent the cost of development?
So maybe Gilles Le Bon, or perhaps in Yokohama, somebody would like to answer. Perhaps Gilles starts, perhaps, and then we go to Japan to answer the point.
Yes, thank you for the questions. Well, the amount of 40% reduction is in entry tickets, one-off investment, be it in R&D and on CapEx, thanks to the commonalities, of course, building on the current commonalities on platforms and technology, and enlarging the commonalities to the upper body. We can cut the entry ticket by 40% as an average. Of course, it depends on the programs, but it's related to entry tickets. And the global goal is to make the Alliance the benchmark in terms of R&D CapEx values over turnover, and to be in the range of 8%, as was explained by Jean-Dominique Senard. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilles. Maybe in Japan, would Ushida-san or Nakagoro-san answer?
So thank you for the question. Just for the clarification, and as you mentioned, that 80% of R&D cost, this is something very lean that we have to aim under this difficulty, how we can be prepared to make the lean fixed cost, which is each company's really addressing that area. Now, when it comes to the 40%, of course, that is up to 40%. So we just wanted to give some indicative number that our effort has a lot of meaning in the new car in terms of the entry ticket. And further, of course, when it comes to the time for each company's explanation and announcement, we'll be further to elaborate what does really mean the benefit to each company's R&D, entry ticket, and all the related costs we are talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have another live question right now coming from France, please. Sir, go ahead.
Nous avons une question du Figaro.
We have a question from Le Figaro. Yes, hello, Bertie Bayard from Le Figaro. I have a question concerning the repercussions on copyright. If you take the example of the leader role of Nissan on autonomous vehicles, does that mean that all of the research on autonomous driving will be done in Nissan? And does that mean in the long term, intellectual property will belong to Nissan?
Okay. First, maybe Adi, you would take the first step, and then we will follow up with the others. Adi.
Yes. So it's on the intellectual property. So we have been experiencing many models, co-development and sometimes development by one company or the other. Indeed, in this case, we are going a little bit away from co-development to make much more clarity on accountability and on efficiency in this case. On your specific question on the IP management, this topic is still to be handled, if I may say, and will be clarified in the coming months, in fact. But that's the topic. It's a topic that is known. We have many experiences, and we know the two situations. But it's a topic that will be clarified soon, and we still have some work to be done on this specific IP topic. Maybe Yamaguchi-san, if he wants to also share on it, that would be good.
Yes. Yes, Yamaguchi-san would like to speak in Yokohama.
Yes, I tried to answer the question. Then the leader-follower scheme is about the job sharing. So it does not directly relate to the IP, right? IP can be owned by the company who pay the money. So that rule is not changed. That's my answer.
Yeah, Ashwini here. So I think that's a great question. First of all, IP management is the enabler. It's not the objective. The objective is to improve the efficiency of working together by eliminating the duplication. Now, what is very clear, whatsoever IP management we will adopt will make each partner access to use that technology. And I think this is more important, that if one is developing the technology, the other partners have full access to use that technology. And I think this will not change. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwani. This is very clear, and I mentioned that in my speech in the introduction. Everybody is going to have access to these technologies, and we then find a legal way to get it work, and that's what we have to do. And it will be very pragmatic, and I would say very, very soft way in the sort of study that we are doing today.
And if I may add, the whole idea, if you have seen here, is to have a balance between the companies. So even though there might be some IP or royalties or whatever, the fact that it is balanced is make it work. Whatever the legal way we find, it's going to be balanced anyway. So we have access to everything, and the split is done that way so that it is on the same weight for Renault, Nissan, and then Mitsubishi can get the access to.
Thank you. We're almost running out of time. I'm going to take a last question live from Reuters. Sir, please go ahead.
Prochaine question de Reuters. C'est à vous.
Allô?
Oui.
Yes. Hello? Do I just ask my question?
Does it mean that today's announcement means that is postpones the plan for a full merger between the two companies? And
the answer is easy. There is no plan for merger of our companies. So I think it has to be very clear. Our model today is a very distinctive model. And as you can see from all what we have said, we don't need a merger to be efficient. We are going forward and adding our, I would say, our capabilities and sharing them in such a way that we can get the best of this organization. As I said, I'm betting that in a few years, because of what we're doing today and the decision that has been made, we will be much more efficient than we are now, and we will be a model among the world in terms of combination of companies.
Thank you.
Regarding the today's announcement, does it mean that there will be some depreciations or impairments on the programs by Nissan and Renault? Thank you.
If I understood the question correctly, you're talking about impairment depreciation. This is directly linked to the company's assessment of the profitability of their own car and technology. So we will not answer to that. It is up to each company to answer if there is any impact or not in their coming announcements.
Thank you, everyone. We're running out of time. Maybe a last word, please.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all these questions, and they showed clearly that the interest for the alliance is high. We all hope that we have given you, I would say, the real clarity of the future strategy of this alliance. Of course, we will come back regularly to talk about it, but this step today is absolutely essential and concludes a tremendous period of time in which we have been able to cover all the diagnosis and all the solutions for the future. So thank you for being there and for sharing that with us. And from Japan, like from France, we'd like to say bye-bye and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for following us here. And maybe you may have a word to say in Yokohama, please. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for following us here in Paris, in Yokohama and Tokyo. And you will have the possibility to review this video online on our respective website. And for any further questions, the press team of each company is available. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.